The SEVR Broadhead is the only one on the market. It's a mechanical, but it's a locking pivoting design. So the blades, it's a rear deploy head. It's going to open from the back. Once the blades lock open, then it can pivot. And so, why is that advantageous? Why is that good? It does a couple things. First of all, it's our tagline is straight through it. Our Broadhead has a really great reputation of not deflecting. Sorry. Right. So you can take really steep quartering shots and not have to worry about the broadhead and penetration going straight through the animal. So in the past with other mechanical designs, you had to be really careful that you took only broadside shots or slight quartering shots, because the heads were prone to deflection. The arrow would change direction dramatically on steep quartering shots. So that locking pivoting blade design eliminates that. The second thing that the locking pivoting blade does, and probably the thing that most people don't realize, is it acts as an extreme shock absorber. Nice. So when the blade opens, you see all that blade, that's exposed. If on a regular mechanical design, that locks open, and because it doesn't pivot, it absorbs all the shock and the impact force of the broadhead hitting. And when you load up those blades as much as we do, if you're not able to pivot, other broadhead designs I've seen blades completely shear off.
Oh, absolutely.
It's I wouldn't say it's common, but it's something you have to be concerned with, and especially if you have a bone impact, that's something that can happen with a normal mechanical design. When that blade shears off, it's no longer functional. So what our locking pivoting design does, because it can pivot, it's like a breakaway rim on a basketball backboard. So prior to those being invented, guys were dunking, breaking backboards, and they weren't managing the stress very well. This does a similar thing. You hit a bone, you have that impact force. It really manages the force really well. And we've been on the market now since 5 years probably now.
Right.
So there's been a lot of third-party testing on our product, and John Lusk, because he's Lusk Archery Ventures, he's one I commonly point to that that we're the most durable mechanical he's ever tested. Just recently this year, the Ashby Foundation, right, they're huge proponents of fixed blade heads. Like they're kind of like almost anti-mechanical.
Yeah, you say Ashby and you start
only
thinking fixed.
I say that, but they tested our head this year. We're the only mechanical broadhead that's ever passed their penetration testing, period. So for them to actually come out and give us an attaboy,
oh man,
it'd be coming from like where their focus and their effort has been. I mean, I just think it's been a good testament to our design, and that's all in the locking pivoting design that is SEVR. So the other thing that's nice about our product is the blades are fully encased in the ferrule and flight, so that's going to make for really good accuracy. And again, we have the reputation for being the most accurate broadhead on the market. Randy Ulmer is probably the one hunter that most people can put a name to.
What?
He helped design the original Ulmer Edge that this design was based on, and he wanted a broadhead that was super accurate, and that's the problem that this design solves, is the accuracy dilemma. The other cool thing is that our head has the practice mode set screw, so you can lock this head in the closed position and practice with the same head you're going to hunt with. And that way, for sure when you get to hunting camp that, especially if you travel to hunt. I do that quite a bit for my job, and when I, go, a lot of times I'll fly to Texas, hunt deer, I'll go to Florida, hunt hogs. I might be an inch or two off when I get there. Absolutely. And to be able to just put my broadhead on and shoot it at distance, and either confirm that I'm on, or if I need to make an adjustment, at least I know, and I can have that confidence that everything is as it should be before I go out on a hunt.
So what we're talking about, this is so crucial. What we're talking about right here is that hole right there.
Yep. You
can put a set screw in there and take your O-ring off. You can leave your O-ring on. I prefer to take them off just to keep weight averages right. But that set screw will lock these blades into place so that they don't deploy, right? So they don't deploy and tear your target up and all that. So you don't want that when you're practicing. You want to just in and out, right? So that's what that set screw's for, and it makes the difference of differences. I shoot with my SEVRs all year long. I don't shoot with field points. I shoot with my SEVRs all year long in my target, and if I would have kept them in their deploying motion, I would have gone through 3 or 4 targets by now.
Yep.
I'm still shooting the same target. I'm still shooting the same exact SEVR target that I've been shooting since you guys sent me one 2 years ago. Or was it a year and a half ago? Something like that. Anyways, but another thing that I wanted to iterate on is people, you know, they want to get fixed on something. They want to get fixed on, oh man, but I don't want to give up my energy. I don't want to give up my energy loss. What good is your energy if you're not hitting the point that you want to hit? It's simple science to me. If I'm not able to hit where I'm aiming,
yeah,
what's the reason for me being out there?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and you know, when people lose an animal or they have a bad blood trail or whatever, anyone that's in the broadhead business knows, and you know, you talk to enough people in the industry, people will always blame their broadhead for their bad shot.
Right now.
For their bad shot, right? And even, you know, they'll say, I hit it perfectly. Most people don't, you know, film their hunts. You just, and even those that do, a lot of times you don't get the shot angle quite right or whatever. I have never seen somebody not find their animal that I had video on and be able to look at it and, you know, and cast doubt on, hey, the shot placement was questionable. Usually. I mean, I've had times when I haven't, things didn't go well and haven't found my animal, whatever, but at the end of the day, I've done it enough to realize that it's all about shot placement. That what I can do as a designer of products is ensure that they work as they should all the time, and that they're going to be strong
reliability
and not break, right? So that's all I can promise our customers, is that our broadhead functions as intended. It's going to deploy every time. It's not going to, you know, break. And that's another thing with the SEVR is that I feel really good about that locking, pivoting to design. You know, we don't break blades. That's not something we see.
I've never broken a blade.
So as a broadhead designer, that's my job, and the rest of it's really up to us as hunters to be able to make ethical shots and take shots we're comfortable with. The other thing that I think people don't, you know, and I'm not going to criticize a guy for using a fixed blade.
Oh,
whatever,
no.
Personal decision. But what I will say is, most of the time to get a fixed blade to fly, you have to slow your bow down. You have to get your speeds slow enough to get that thing to tune. And what I see happen, especially in Western hunting, where shots typically can be longer, is your range estimation error is a bigger factor in people making bad shot placement hits on animals than the penetration factor would be.
People forget that those elk, they're not like a deer. Every time an elk takes a step, that's at least a yard. It's not half a yard. He takes 2 or 3 steps quartering away from you.
Yeah.
He's now 5 yards further than you're thinking. So that margin to help with speed, gosh almighty, I'll take that every day.
Absolutely. Like I'm of the opinion, I mean, we have customers shooting deer, you know, at 40 pounds, legal minimums,
right?
Short draw length, you know, kids, women, you know, that use SEVR successfully on animals. So like, I'm not saying that ours aren't adequate for that.
Oh,
where I see, you know, the need for fixed blades in the market is when, you know, you're hunting dangerous game in Africa.
I understand that.
You know, or you need penetration above all else, and that's like, you know, you're checking, that's all you need to care about at that point in time. You're shooting short distance, you know, whatever. Having said that, I would have no problem letting anybody use a 1.5 SEVR, you know, on even the shortest poundage, or shortest draw, lowest poundage, legal hunting legal hunting poundage bows. It does the job very well. So what I like about our design is it allows you to shoot a faster bow. It allows you to shoot a flatter shooting arrow. You have that range forgiveness in your setup. So
you have the forgiveness to help with accuracy with not the amount of surface area of a fixed head. I mean, that's one thing that a lot of people, like we say, your point of impact is everything. Where you got to be able to make that shot accurately. I make a bad enough shot as it is.
Yep.
Anything that's going to help hinder that more for me, I don't need. So I'm going to go with a head that I know is super accurate. When I talk about hindering, I talk about anything with surface area. I'm talking about the blades of a say a fixed blade. So what happens is, say you have a crosswind from right to left, and it hits the surface area, it hits those blades of that head as it's trying to get corrected by the back end of the arrow. This end of the arrow will now start to take, it'll start to take control and go who knows where. Higher winds, longer distances, more potential that fixed head can take control of your arrow's flight. With a mechanical, with a SEVR especially, I can shoot, honest to God, and we'll do it today, I can shoot just as tight a group with a field point as I can with my SEVRs. All the time. In the wind. Doesn't matter. I practice all the time at 100 yards, 110 yards. That's my practice. That's just my go-to practice. And I'm always practicing. My range is set up with a slight crosswind. It's a southwest wind that comes in, and I shoot south to north.
Mm-hmm.
So I always have a little bit of crosswind. I put a fixed blade on. I pray that it hits the target at 70 yards. I put my SEVRs on at 100, and I know I'm still within an inch of the dot.
Mm-hmm.
So that just, it gives you that comfort that a guy really needs, you know,
yeah.
when knowing that, man, my arrows don't err.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, and then the nice thing to that, you know, knowing that, you know, there are different preferences for our consumers. We know that we have customers who want a big hole. We have customers that really want deep penetration. And so we have different models to kind of tailor to what you as consumers, you know, prefer. So like the one you're holding, that's our 1.5.
And I have no one else to get that
Yeah.
off. Oh, sorry.
Sorry. So this is our 1.5.
The band doesn't want to play.
There we go.
So
there's our 1.5.
Let's talk about that.
And then the 2.0.
So that they can understand really what we're talking
Yeah,
about.
so basically what you've got is, you know, the bigger cutting diameter, we call it stretch cut, that helps with. So as the blades deploy on a broadhead like this, bigger cut, it's going to stretch the hide more when it cuts. So you can get a lot bigger entry hole than, you know, than the blade measure. Sometimes I've seen holes, you know, 4 or 5 inches sometimes. And having a blade like, you know, wide with a less of a cutting angle will help promote a larger hole. Now there's a trade-off with that. You do lose, it does take more energy to push that through the target, and that's well understood in the market. That's why, you know, a fixed blade penetrates, you know,
as it does.
As it does, right? So, but the way to do that is you control that by putting a more swept back blade angle on the design. So by having the SEVR 1.5 with a more swept back blade angle, that's going to promote more penetration. And so I always say, if you're a person that prefer, you know, that maybe you're coming from a fixed blade and that's an attribute you like, but you're chasing more accuracy, you want to get better wind drift, you don't want to mess with tuning issues, you want to shoot a faster arrow speed. There's a whole number of reasons why this might be a good product for you. The 1.5 with the more swept back blade design is going to give you the penetration you need. It's going to perform well under all those other circumstances. If you're chasing big holes and you want to promote the best blood trail you can, the 2.0 might be for you. Right. And I've seen, and people will say, well, what, you know, I'm going to go hunt elk. Can you shoot elk with the 2.0? Absolutely. I've personally killed elk with the 2.0. I've had people get a full pass through on buffalo with the 2.0 at 60 pounds with just a standard weight axis arrow. So again, it goes back to, will they both do the job? Absolutely. Is there any animal in North America too big for either SEVR? No. It really comes down to your shot placement. 100% of the time. If you hit it where you're supposed to, the broadhead will do its job. I'm confident of that.
Facts. So for a guy like myself, I am what you would call draw length challenged. I have a man's draw length. I'm just under 28-inch draw length, and I just, at the shorter your draw length, the more Alex is laughing at me in the background here. But the shorter your draw length, the harder it is for you to produce energy, right? The longer the stroke of the cam, meaning the longer the draw length, the easier it is for you to produce energy. So I gravitated to the 1.5 right off the hop, and I've killed many an animal. I don't know how many. I've killed a bunch of animals with the 2.0, but I seem to gravitate back to the 1.5 just because I have T-Rex arms, and it is what it is, right? This broadhead did me so much justice this year. We went to Alaska this year, and everybody was asking me the same question. You're going moose hunting with a mechanical. Yeah, what's wrong with that? Well, you're going to lose penetration, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. And I got a pass through on my first shot, and then he offered a second shot at 93 yards, and this little broadhead got my arrow to penetrate to the fletch at 93 yards.
Yeah.
So with accuracy. So what we're talking about, at 93 yards, I'm not advocating anybody to shoot 93 yards, but if an animal gives you a second opportunity, I always take it, right? I think that's most of us. And I don't know if I would have been able to make that shot with the wind that was going with a fixed head.
Yeah.
You know, like, so, I mean, there's so many advantages to these heads, especially severs. I mean, I could shoot any head I want. This is the head I've always wanted to, always want to be with, you know.
Well, and then, you know, we are a direct-to-consumer company.
That makes it even better.
Well, and it helps the customers out with the price. You know, when people buy these, you can buy them in any quantity you want. We don't just sell them in one. We just sell them individually, so you can buy as few as you want or as many as you want. But these are made out of a one-piece titanium ferrule. So titanium is 5 times the cost of steel. And if we were selling these, you know, like normal, you know, through retail, they'd be very expensive. Right. So, you know, our broadhead not only is a good performer, but it's a great value. You're getting really high quality design and materials at a really, really good price overall. And so that's just another reason, you know, I think that, you know, more and more people every year are choosing SEVR. We continue to have huge growth every year, and we get nothing but great feedback from our customers.
Man, that's a fact of life. I got all my buddies shooting SEVRs now, all these guys that were tied into this brand or that brand. This is all they've done for me. They get on the line with me on a target, and it's lights out. I mean, I think they feel bad for me because I'm short and ugly too, so they let me, you know, win a couple of the rounds. But yeah, man, I don't know any of my buddies that aren't shooting SEVRs right now, man, and it's all kudos to you. Appreciate it.
Well, hey,